And now, Effective Communication with Phil Zeller, CEO, Dale Carnegie, Southwest Michigan.
Don't you love these words? Somebody says, I'm sorry, sir, madam, person. We can't help you because our policy says so. Our policy says so. Our policy says we don't do that. Sorry to be you. Has that happened to you recently? Oh, yes, that is so frustrating when that happens. And you are out there and you're doing business and you feel like, well, I'm the customer. I should be taken care of. I am a human being here. I am somebody. Please refer to me as somebody. I want to be somebody, not just to hear you tell me what I can't do. Well, how often how often are we in situations where somebody wants to explain to us why we can't do something? Why you can't do this or you can't do that, or that's not the way we do things. And you just say, come on, what do you do, right? And when they say that to you and they say, yeah, that's not our policy. We're not going to do that. Do you sit there and smile and say, well, that's fantastic. That's wonderful. I love that policy. Policies are so wonderful, especially when they don't benefit me. I appreciate that. Is that what you do? No, of course, that's not what you do. Like most people, you think this is ridiculous. This is absurd. I am the customer here. I deserve some service. So you get frustrated and you feel angry and you feel a little resentment and you want to get defensive, right? And then what happens? Well, if you get defensive and you get argumentative, next thing you know, you're in the situation where your blood pressure goes up, you get all fired up and you want to start, getting into it with this person and debating over something that they're following the rules that somebody made for them. And oftentimes it's like when you're in a store or you're unhappy with service somewhere and you're dealing with the foot soldier, the old saying goes, go speak to the person in charge who makes the policy, not the person who has to abide by the policy, the person who makes it. I remember this once happened. I was at McDonald's with my two kids and my son said, hey, I'd like to get one of those Happy Meal toys. And we were just there picking up some of those Shamrock shakes at McDonald's, in the early season there. And he's like, well, I really want one. I said, well, you got to go up to the counter and ask. And he went up to the counter and asked, and the person said, I can't have one unless I buy a Happy Meal. And I said to my son, well, why don't you ask to see the manager? He goes, okay, Dad. And he's about 6 or 7 years old. So he goes back up to the counter, asks to see the manager. And the manager comes out and he says, my dad and my sister here, we just ordered some shakes, but I'd really like to get that Happy Meal toy over there. Is there any way I could get that Happy Meal toy? And the manager looked at him and looked around and said, you know what? I think we can make that happen. You see, in that moment, my son took a different tact. He took a different approach. He went to somebody to realize it's about the customer experience. It's about the relationship. You want the customer to come back. So when you think about how are you training yourself to communicate, how are you training your staff to communicate, are you communicating in a way that the person will want to come back and do business with you again? Will they want to spend more time with you? So there's a better way about it. There's a better way of doing it. And what you got to do is you got to go out there and proactively start by becoming genuinely interested in other people. It happened to me last night. There I was. I went out. I took my daughter to her practice, and there's this nice little restaurant there where she practices. And I walked in the restaurant, and I'm talking to the people behind the counter, and I'm checking out the different selections of beverages. And we get in a conversation about different types of beverages and how they taste and what they're doing. And I'm taking a genuine interest in what these ladies do in their work. And we're having a conversation about this, and they're saying, oh, well, what about this one? They started asking me questions about the different things they had and how did they taste and what do they like and how would you describe them? And so I really took the time to take a genuine interest in their work and what they were doing to help them understand their own products that they were serving to customers. And we had a great little chit chat for a couple minutes, and then I ordered a beverage and I went outside, and I'm outside and I'm watching my daughter do her practice and have a good time. All of a sudden, the woman comes back out. She says, sir, is there anything else I can do for you? Anything else I can get you? And I said, I'd like another one of those beverages you got me inside. Is there a way we could get one of those? That'd be really great. And she said, well, we have a policy that, you got to do this, that. And I said, I'm sorry. And she said, you know what? No, I'll take care of it. I'll take care of it. I'm on it. Let me go get you that beverage. And she went and she came back and I said, you are the best. And thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And she said, no problem. Great lesson for all of us in those situations. So in your life, as you go about every day, ask yourself, how are you communicating with folks? Are you becoming genuinely interested in their situation? Because if you want them to be interested in your situation, first you got to become genuinely interested in their situation. And then all of a sudden, once you realize that going through life, and this is something I always share with people, it's half of what you know and half of who you know, but it's really the half you do know and how you work with those people that really get results. So effectively communicate, become genuinely interested in other people. Build that rapport, build that bond, build that relationship, and then when you ask them to do something for you, they won't come back with this trite example of it. It's our policy. They'll say, sir, let me take care of that for you. You got this. Go ahead. Be intentional. Have that better life. Now go make it happen.